As you all know, A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones fans are divided once again after HBO delivered what many fans are considering an underwhelming season of House of the Dragon. Although I was mostly satisfied with House of the Dragon's finale, the show obviously fell below the high standards we expect to see from a major drama series at HBO. Every fan now knows House of the Dragon's second season would have had a much better ending if only the showrunners were given enough resources to deliver a satisfying season finale. Now we all have to wait until next season before we're finally able to see the Battle of the Gauntlet. As you all know, we should have already seen the Battle of the Gauntlet, as well as the fall of King's Landing at the end of the second season. House of the Dragon showrunners were not able to film those episodes because they were not given enough money. As of right now, it looks like House of the Dragon might face some of the same issues they did during the second season. Now, the showrunner has already said HBO no longer wants to finance a full season. It's no secret, they're gonna need either a bigger budget or an extra season if they want to faithfully adapt all the major battles in Fire and Blood. We're gonna need someone to step in and fix this issue before it's too late. Hopefully, the executives will listen to all the recent backlash regarding the season finale. I do believe if all of us are loud enough, they might actually wake up and listen. Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire fans are not the only ones who feel this way. Author George R.R. Martin wasn't satisfied with House of the Dragon's second season either. He's actually said as much during a recent convention in New Mexico, as well as his NotABlog website earlier this morning. This now makes the second time this week he said he will reveal his honest thoughts about House of the Dragon. Now, before I get into everything that was said, I have to let all my Game of Thrones fans know about this amazing new offer. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Displate. Now, what do you see when you look at your walls? If they're nothing but a bland empty space, this can end right now. With Displate, your walls can become your own multiverse. A gallery of passion, creativity, and personality. Displate offers metal posters that look stunning and stay stunning. They're made from extra durable steel and are designed to treat your eyes with highly detailed, vibrantly colorful prints for decades to come. It only takes seconds to hang or swap their posters with their magnet mounting system so that your walls can evolve and change with you. It is tool-free, safe for your walls, and super quick. Each Displate comes with a magnet kit so that everything you need is right in the box. There's no drilling holes and no frustration. As you all know, every story has its own twists and turns, and this one has no plot holes. Actually, no holes at all. Displate's catalog has over 2 million artworks available. You can choose from new, original art, or officially licensed designs. There's everything from high-resolution photos to abstract art, and from official movie posters to pixel-perfect game designs. It's everything you need to make your walls reflect how you truly want to express yourself on a sleek piece of metal. And with Displate's fast delivery, your new metal poster should arrive in 4 to 5 business days. That's just enough time to plan how you want to arrange them. Now, Displate is launching a new product line called Displate Textra, and it's pushing the boundaries of what metal posters can be. Displate Textra posters have tactile textures and 3D contours, and you can get them with either a matte or gloss finish. Now, if you'd like to transform your walls and try Displate for yourself, go to the discount link in my description, or go to displate.com/thrones to get 22% off your first 2 Displates, or 30% off 3 or more. You don't want to miss out on this amazing offer. Once again, I have to thank Displate for sponsoring today's video. I think most of us were already under the assumption that George R.R. Martin wasn't happy with House of the Dragon's second season. Earlier this week, he shared some of his thoughts about House of the Dragon during a small convention in New Mexico. Unfortunately, there is no audio or video from the event. All we have is a description of what he said. Now, according to a fan who was there, George R.R. Martin said House of the Dragon Season 1 was great. The second season, however, was, I'm gonna have to write a blog about that. Later he said he was starting to wonder if he was a fool for caring about whether or not the show was good or faithful to his source material. He said lots of writers usually just sell the TV rights and never think about it again, and are most likely happier than he is. Meanwhile, he hasn't been able to forget about his shows. He wants to see them succeed. He said he found himself in a dilemma. On one hand, he does want to fight for a faithful adaptation of his story, while on the other hand, he wrestles with the idea of giving up on the show so he can focus on A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, although we don't know exactly what was said at the convention, he did confirm some of this during his newest NotABlog entry. Now, earlier this morning he said, "I do not look forward to the other blogs I need to write about everything that's gone wrong with House of the Dragon, but I need to do that too, and I will. Not today though." Now, maybe this is only me, but it sounds like he has a lot of issues with the second season. I think if it was something minor, he most likely would have said it already. What I really want to know is, will most of the blame fall on the writers, or HBO's lack of funding? What does he actually think affected the season the most? And could some of these mistakes have been avoided if he was there working with the writers every day? Honestly, I think his lack of focus is making the shows and his novels suffer. He doesn't really help out that much with House of the Dragon, and that's why the show isn't a direct adaptation of Fire and Blood. As we all know, he's not always there in the writer's room to make sure they're always following the guideline. Now, that's not to say he doesn't help out at all. He obviously helped them a lot in the beginning when they were getting the show off the ground. In fact, Ryan Condal said as much during one of his interviews at Deadline. He did say, "George actually helped us a lot in the very beginning, back when we had a small writer's room before the show was officially greenlit. Generally, it's George and I in communication. I sent him everything. I sent him outlines, I sent him scripts, I sent him cuts, I sent him text messages, and I'll even ask him things like, why did you do this, and what does this mean?" He said he's very active and reads a lot and gives a lot of feedback. Other times, he just sort of defers and says, go with the gods. But as we all know, he's a very busy guy. It's really hard for him to engage with us at the pace that we would need him to weigh in on every single little decision. The show is moving fast, but he always knows what's going on. That's the thing I always wanted from the very beginning. I might not always do exactly the thing he wants me to do, but we will always talk about it. We're always going to have the discussion, and I've honored that. So as you can see, George R.R. Martin does not live in the writer's room with him as they're making the outline for each season. They're only able to discuss things with him mostly via email and messages, but that's not enough because he doesn't help them with everything, obviously. They are hired writers after all. He should not have to hold their hands for everything.
You want the screenwriter to feel he's free to make it his own. And too many screenwriters do make it their own, even if they're adapting Dickens or Tolkien or Shakespeare or whoever you want, they decide to make it their own. But they never make it better because usually the people who are making it their own are simply not as good as the people who wrote it in the first place.
Now, with that being said, the show does suffer because he's not always there. On the other hand, The Winds of Winter also suffers because he's not able to solely focus on his writing when he's helping HBO develop all these different shows. He's always working with HBO on some new show, even if he's not there with them in the writer's room. One day, he might have to decide if he wants to finish these shows or if he wants to finish A Song of Ice and Fire. As of right now, he's sort of half-assing the show and his novel because he doesn't actually focus on either one. He basically said this himself, and that's why he's been wrestling with the idea of shifting his focus. The website Winter is Coming actually wrote an interesting article about this very subject. As I said before, some of the fans who were at the New Mexico convention shared what they saw and heard. We might not have the audio or video, but we do have secondhand information from the fans who were there. One of the fans who was there states, George said he was still working on The Winds of Winter, and that he was really stressed out about it and thinking about his legacy a lot. He was very open and honest about how the recent years have been stressful, and he is easily distracted. He is not finished with The Winds of Winter, but he is working on it every day, as always. He is thinking a lot about his legacy and whether to focus on writing or the TV shows. He said he visited J.R.R. Tolkien's grave, and he felt emotional after seeing what all the fans left behind. He said he wants a legacy like that. He also went on to say his novels are like his children, but also how the Game of Thrones shows are very rewarding because you can see your ideas come to life. It honestly makes me feel kinda sad to know this is what's on his mind. As we all know, he is roughly 75 years old, and although we all hate to say it, he's not in the best of shape. Unfortunately, we all know he's not going to be around forever, and he's reminded of this every time one of his friends die. Even if I never made another video, I would still love to see him finish his writing. It's no secret, his legacy will suffer if he doesn't finish A Song of Ice and Fire. And that's the last thing I want to see happen. I just don't think he's going to be able to finish it himself. The only way I see him actually finishing A Song of Ice and Fire is if he's able to release The Winds of Winter within the next 3 or 4 years. As long as he's still working on all these different shows, he's never going to be able to focus on ending his story. I am also anxious to see what he has to say about House of the Dragon. Like he said, he wants to go into everything that was wrong with the second season. We already know he had some issues with the very first episode after he shared his thoughts on his website. When he released that NotABlog, he had only seen the first 2 episodes at that time. Although he was vague, he said the only thing about the show that is drawing criticism is the ending of the Blood and Cheese storyline. He said he did like the ending, he thought it was a gut punch, especially for all the fans who have never read Fire and Blood. However, all the fans who did read Fire and Blood, well, there's a lot to be said about that, but this is not the place for me to say it. The issues are too complicated. Somewhere down the line, I will do a separate blog about all the issues raised by Blood and Cheese and Maelor the Missing. There's a lot to say. Now that he has seen the whole season, I can only assume he had more issues with the show as it went on. Every fan wants to know how he feels about Nettles. Is he upset over the fact that Damon had werewood visions? Does he hate the fact that Allison is ready to surrender the city? Was he a fan of the makeout session with Rhaenyra and Massaria? It's really hard to say what he thinks went wrong with the second season. I do hope he directly addresses all the issues, whether it be with the writers or HBO. I'm just not sure how much he will say given the fact that he still has working relationships with everyone. After all, HBO still hands him millions of dollars to adapt his stories. If he does actually have an issue with the company as a whole, will he bite the hand that feeds him? I don't think he will, considering he has almost always been vague before. He still hasn't said much about Dan and Dave, or how they ended the original series. Now, maybe this isn't fair to say, but I have to assume he hated the ending of Game of Thrones given the fact that he wanted them to make upwards of a dozen seasons.
Why is it ending?
I don't know. Ask David and Dan when they come through. We could have gone to 11, 12, 13 seasons, but I guess they wanted a life.
So you wanted it to keep going.
Well, if you've read my novels, you know there was enough material for more seasons. They made certain cuts.
I think his silence alone says a lot. We usually know whenever he loves the show or certain episodes because he'll often share those thoughts on his website. When he is silent, however, it leads me to believe he's not happy, but he doesn't want to say that because of his relationship with HBO. Now, I actually liked most of House of the Dragon's second season. Most of the issues I have are with the final episode, and I know they can solve those if HBO gives them a bigger budget. For now, I want to wait until he gives his full breakdown of the season before I assume he's either mad at House of the Dragon's writers or HBO's executives. As of right now, we can only speculate on what that might be. I just hope he's not vague with his thoughts. The only way they can fix things before season 3 is if they know exactly what is wrong. I hope he doesn't hold back because they're more likely to listen to him before they listen to any of us. Let me know what all of you think down below. What are some of the issues you think he will address? I also want to thank Displayed again for sponsoring the video. Don't forget, their discount link is down below in my description. I definitely want to give them another shout out because they've certainly been a big help now that HBO is copyright claiming all of my videos. Once again, I want to thank all of you for watching another video. There's a lot more heading your way. I hope all of you have a great day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.